Warning: the following video contains content that will incite hatred towards villains, trigger unpleasant memories of wicked deeds, and above all else, the insatiable need to go back and re-watch these shows and movies. It takes a brilliant actor to make you hate them just from a single role. There are villains we love because of their redemption arcs, like Darth Vader and Killmonger. Then there's the particular breed of wicked, punchable antagonist we love to hate. We'd prefer to focus on the latter this time and give you the definitive top 10 actors so good at playing the villain that we hate them for it. Jack Gleeson is so infused with the character Joffrey Baratheon that we shout at the screen when Batman hands Gleeson's character a gadget in Batman Begins. There's no way to separate the character from the actor, not after what we've seen King Joffrey do. It's not Gleeson's fault he played such a good bad guy. Joffrey's role in Game of Thrones was ripe for misdeeds and spoiled actions. The minute his character was given all that power, every viewer feared for the kingdom's safety. Think back to that time and how much pressure was on Gleeson to meet the expectations we built up for him. He did that and more. We tend to forget Joffrey Baratheon as a child in the show. He's literally barely an adult when his arc ends. Yet we find so much glee in watching him go purple in his final moments. Now, usually we'd say there's a lot wrong with that, but that's just how despised Joffrey is by the end. That is how well he played the Mad King Joffrey in Game of Thrones. The Handmaid's Tale is a show ripe for evil roles. The entire premise crawls under your skin in such a remarkable way. There's plenty of opportunities for characters to stand out as the #1 most hated villain in the series. So the fact that Aunt Lydia makes her way through the crowd of terrible people says something about Ann Dowd. Dowd is a brilliant actor who runs with her role when given a chance to be the bad guy. She is literally the doctor that puts down Marley in Marley and Me. If that doesn't tell you something, then what else can we say? Her role as Aunt Lydia is just the culmination of all of her work. Aunt Lydia is the vile, oppressive villain of a show about a dystopian society filled with terrible, immoral people. When you're the rotten apple in a sea of bad apples, you tend to have to be overtly evil. Somebody needed to symbolize everything wrong with the social structure created in The Handmaid's Tale. The worst villains make you anxious the minute they appear. That's Aunt Lydia. There's a way Giancarlo Esposito delivers lines that help him stand out from every other actor who shares the screen with him. Something about his dialogue is so cool and calculating that it leaves a tingle running down our spine. Obviously, mix this with a well-written antagonist and you have a recipe for a despicable character every audience member will hate until the end of time. Perhaps the most alarming thing about this character in Breaking Bad is how he acts with no remorse. When Gus threatens Walter White, we know it's not a bluff. We've seen him work against his rivals without a single regret. He holds ice in his veins and is willing to eliminate anyone in the way of his goals. All of these characteristics give Gus a lot of power over our protagonist and makes us hate him even more. It makes Esposito's deeds more amplified and earns him a top spot on this list. It's one thing to play a villain with a lot of hype and build-up. It is a whole other ballgame to fill a classic villain's shoes in British literature and still manage to make the role feel fresh. Yet here is Andrew Scott reinventing the perception around the legendary Jim Moriarty. Scott truly brought the character to new heights with his performance in BBC's Sherlock. Consider the first time Moriarty ever appears. He's hiding in plain sight. His whole plan centers around manipulating and toying with a character we're not used to seeing be put in that position.
Don't hurt me.
No, you are Moriarty! He's Moriarty!
He plays to Sherlock's strengths, then builds the theater around those skills. Scott brings an eccentric nature to the character that we'd never expect. Every time he's on screen, he feels capable of doing anything, and we dislike him for that exact reason. On top of that, Moriarty brings out all of the worst parts of Sherlock's character by testing him and reminds us our favorite protagonist is deeply flawed. It's the cherry on top of an incredibly evil sundae. Helena Bonham Carter as Bellatrix Lestrange is a masterclass in how to instantly be hated by fans for all of eternity. It's her laugh. That evil laugh is so etched in our mind now that we know the exact memory it evokes for every Harry Potter fan. Come on, you know the moment. Oh, please don't make us bring it up. Yeah, we're talking about the moment she finished off Sirius Black and left every viewer brokenhearted and stunned. It's been years since that movie came out, and we're still not over it. Carter infused every horrible thing about Lestrange in the books and amplified it to a 10 on the horror scale. The first time you ever see her, you just know she's gonna be trouble. Think about it this way. Bellatrix Lestrange is so mad that Voldemort has to reel her in at times. Voldemort! That is how wild and evil Lestrange is, people. The worst part is, nothing tragic even happens to her to make Bellatrix this way. She's just cruel because she wants to be evil, and Carter plays that to perfection. Okay, so there are definitely antagonists that have done way worse than Johnny Lawrence ever did in Karate Kid, but hear us out, alright? Sure, Barney Stinson may see Billy Zabka as the true hero of that film, but we all know what he truly is to every other viewer. He is the symbolic version of that classic 80s villain, the bully with nothing to lose. The new Cobra Kai show is doing its best to repair Johnny Lawrence's character and make him appear more redeemable.
It's all water under the bridge.
Wait, is this the karate guy? The guy from the tournament?
Still, we all know who he truly is. His role in Karate Kid signifies all the 80s villains we loved to hate. Those rich kids with all the bells and whistles that hold every advantage over the protagonist. He even creates conflict when there's no need for there to be conflict. We can name tons of other 80s villains that fit this archetype, but none of them live up to the performance Zabka gave. Cobra Kai can't change that. We've talked about lots of different types of villains up to this point. Most of them keep their sinister nature out in public or let their intentions be known to a handful of people. Perry Wright is an exception. It's that same exception that makes his character so vile and evil. He works behind closed doors, manipulating and twisting reality to fit his choices. Alexander Skarsgård had a lot to work with here to manage an accurate performance as this character. Even he is kind of afraid of himself in this role because he knows how true to life it can be and how undiscovered his abuse is. Perry is the kind of villain we all want to see meet some form of justice, and when it finally comes, it feels so right. What earned this antagonist a spot on this list is his impact on the next season. As much credit as we give Skarsgård, we can't help but mention the job Nicole Kidman does as Celeste Wright. After Perry's demise, his impact is seen through Celeste's trauma and the influence he had over his kid. His kind of wickedness is one that lingers and remains even after he's gone. Do us a quick favor and just look at the faces General Hux makes throughout the trilogy. Look how annoying he appears. Honestly, Domhnall Gleeson does a fantastic job making his character look so punchable. Incredibly, he didn't get hit more during his screen time to be real. Gleeson makes the character as villainous as he can be given his limited screen time. Before Hux even talks, we get so much about his character's inner turmoil and decision-making process. It's one of the things we hate the most about Hux. He's always scheming and finds ways to get ahead. He's never straightforward with people unless it serves him better. You'd think everything would change with his turn in the 9th film, but nope. That switch to the light side made people hate him even more. There's always debates online about who the greatest villain of all time is, and there's plenty of names tossed around. One name that ends up near the top every time, no matter where it's discussed, is Nurse Ratchet. She is one of the most disliked characters of all time. When Louise Fletcher took on the role, she certainly didn't expect all the fan fame for being such an evil character. She did win an Oscar for the role, if that tells you anything about how amazing she did as Nurse Ratchet.
No, Randall. He's telling you the truth.
Here's the deal. We know some of you likely haven't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, yet you still know just how awful Nurse Ratchet is. If that doesn't make the point, what does? She is the worst kind of villain.
I'm talking about God, the devil, hell, heaven. Do you understand? Finally!
She uses her power over patients to quiet them and control them in cruel ways. Louise Fletcher is lucky enough to go outside now and not be recognized, but it took years to rub off the role. Anthony Hopkins is a world-class actor with dozens of famous roles in his filmography. He's been all sorts of characters, but no matter how hard he tries, people still see him as Hannibal Lecter. There are even actors who work with him that get uncomfortable thanks to his performance. Other actors have even taken on the mantle of Hannibal Lecter, however, Hopkins still manages to be seen as the real character. We can't see Anthony Hopkins in a movie without instantly assuming he's an undercover villain. It's become a second reflex. We still assume he's up to no good. We half expected him to turn on Thor at any moment in the MCU. That's how bad it's gotten. Of course, all of this doesn't lie squarely on Hopkins' shoulders. He's an incredible actor who turned in a fantastic performance. Still, the dialogue is what pushes the role over the edge. His words twist your conscience and upset sensibilities. He reads and dissects every person who passes his cage. That evokes genuine fear. Surely we missed some other villains you hate. Which actor do you think did the best job being bad? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to ScreenRant for more daily videos. There's always more where this came from.